we all agreed. For the record, I must note that I did not inform Chair Hopper of the gift, nor did I inform Chair LeBou of the Foundation Board of Directors, the chair of the Foundation Board of Directors, prior to the commencement program on Saturday, May the 4th. I owe a sincere apology to Chair Hopper, who happened to be at commencement and was asked to pose for pictures with Mrs. Robbing, not knowing about this whole event or fair. It was reported, by the way, in error that she knew of the plans, and she did not. My oversight is in no way a reflection of her integrity and diligence. I was determined to honor a non-disclosure agreement that, if violated, I thought would jeopardize this transformational donation. The public announcement at commencement was premature at best, and I apologize to all who witnessed it and shared their joy and jubilation in the Lawson Center and in places to which the ceremony was streamed. In a gesture of good faith and accountability, Dr. Shante Friday Stroud, our Vice President for Advancement and Executive Director of the Foundation, has decided to step down from her advancement role to focus on her duties at the School of Business and Industry. I've accepted her resignation, and I am thankful for her excellent work in boosting our fundraising to new heights. Her decision shows her dedication to transparency as we move forward. In the meantime, Dr. Donald Palm, our Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, will serve as Interim Vice President for Advancement while discussions are underway as we speak with the Association of Governing Boards, AGB, for a longer-term interim. We will then look at a new full-time dedicated Vice President of Advancement as we review our processes, working closely with this board and the FAMU Foundation Board of Directors. I thank all of you for your commitments to this institution. Our motto has long been excellence with caring, and we will continue to pursue excellence in all that we do here at Florida A&M University. Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Before I recognize other trustees, I would like to make a statement. I want to start by personally saying that I am a proud two-time alumna of FAMU and the School of Business and Industry. For nearly 30 years, I've consistently served this university as the third female student government president in FAMU's history, to my current role as the chair of the Board of Trustees of Florida A&M University, a top 100 university, the #1 HBCU for the 5th year in a row, and part of the #1 state in the country for higher education. The love that I have for this university is unquestionable. We've had record-breaking philanthropic giving recently, and it doesn't surprise me that FAMU is attracting the attention of more donors, companies, foundations, alumni, and friends of FAMU who want to invest in our students and their success. I'm grateful for how the institution has flourished in the past several years under Dr. Robinson's leadership. I've told him privately also that I and many others are frustrated and disappointed about the reason we're here today, or the implications this could undoubtedly have on donor trust and confidence. What does surprise me, however, is how the events concerning this gift have unfolded. As chair of this board, I, nor my fellow trustees, nor the FAMU Foundation should have been caught by surprise with the public announcement of a gift of this magnitude. I accept your apology, Mr. President, because I should have never been put on the spot or used for a convenient photo or video op for a gift that I knew nothing about. I fully support your decision to cease this transaction, only wish the decision would have been made during the 6 months spent on developing the gift and before a public announcement would have been made that could tarnish the reputation of this university. We have to do everything in our power to make sure that this never happens again to FAMU or to any institution. And as unfortunate as this situation is, I have unwavering confidence that FAMU will emerge from this dark cloud stronger than ever. As you know, we have fiduciary duties of care, loyalty, and obedience, which includes pursuing the interests of the institution with reasonable diligence and prudence, placing the interests of the institution ahead of our own, and ensuring that the institution complies with all applicable laws and regulations, its own policies, and carries out its mission appropriately. Per our bylaws, this board holds the president responsible for the university operation and management, performance, fiscal accountability, and compliance. The distinction between governance and operations is important. In compliance with our board operating procedures, the Florida Sunshine Law, the state statutes, we're here today to thoroughly and transparently address the concerns that have been raised and to take action as a body. There are several facts that need to be uncovered. What is our process for major gifts? Did this situation conform to policies, processes, delegated authorities, and internal controls? How and by whom was the value of the gift determined? What was the due diligence process, findings, and the decision-making criteria used to move forward? What are the criteria to determine when to make a public announcement of gifts? How was the donor given a platform to speak at commencement? When should chairs and bodies of the Foundation Board of Directors and the FAMU Board of Trustees have been made aware of this major gift while staying in compliance with donor privacy and confidentiality policies? And do our policies and procedures reflect industry best practices? I'm certain there are many more questions. FAMU is the College of Love and Charity, and today we need more clarity. Transparency and accountability are critical to understand what happened, why it happened, and to take swift and corrective actions based on facts to improve the operations and controls of our university. I believe this is best achieved with external support. Therefore, I move that the Board of Trustees hire an external firm to perform a complete investigation of the major gift since its inception, to determine what happened, to complete and perform a complete audit and analysis of the university's compliance with policies, processes, and financial controls, to recommend any corrective actions, and to produce a report that reflects best practices.
Madam Chair,
Is there a second?
a second for discussion purposes.
Okay. We will open up the floor for discussion. I see four trustees, and you'll be recognized in the following order. Trustee Gibbons, Trustee Perry, Trustee Klatt, and Trustee Lawson. Go ahead, Trustee Gibbons.
Madam Chair, I will second your motion if I could add an amendment to your motion. Is that this investigation that we give the compliance and audit chairperson, Trustee White, the gavel on leading the investigation, and all other trustees stay out of the investigation, as that's where that would sit. And then also authorizing Trustee White to have negotiating power to work with the firm that moving forward so that we can engage them.
Okay, I will certainly accept the friendly amendment that the Chair of Audit, Trustee White, be responsible for this from a board perspective. And I would also add that that should be with his university counterpart, Vice President Joe Malachewski, who is the Vice President of Audit. So I will accept the first friendly amendment, and I'll address the second next. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I think that the depth of this investigation and in all that has happened in this process, we really should leave university employees out of this investigation. We were not notified, so we don't know to what depths this goes, who knew what. And in light of that, and I would like to get Judge Perry's input on this. In light of that, we really should let this investigation lie where we're supposed to be, which is in compliance and audit, and let the trustee conduct the investigation, because we were not notified. We don't know anything. We don't know any of the processes. We don't know who was involved, who actually knew, who didn't know. And so as a fiduciary, to make sure that when this third party comes back, that everybody can be clear and exonerated on the university side, on the Board of Trustees side, foundation side, whoever, then we probably should not have university employees involved in this particular process.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is not to involve university employees in a investigation. I would, the two folks that you mentioned as it relates to their roles, VP Malachewski with audit and Ms. Rika Calhoun from a compliance perspective, if they're on the line, I would appreciate guidance and or if our general counsel has insight into policies, procedures, et cetera, to ensure that we're in compliance. Trustee Perry, would you like to make a comment on this matter, or would you like us to pause to see if we have?
No, I'd like to make a comment. In view of everything that has gone on, and as Trustee Givens indicated, we don't know who did what and when it happened. It is my opinion that we need somebody who's completely free of involvement with the university to conduct an outside investigation. It would be helpful if they contact those two people, Ms. Calhoun and Mr. Malachewski, in order to contact different people, but they should not be involved in this investigation, in my opinion. If we want this thing to be completely transparent and free, because they are university employees. And I think we do have the latitude to do that if we want a complete, thorough investigation free of any internal influences. Thank you.
Thank you. I do see Ms. Calhoun on the line, and I'm not sure if VP Malachewski, I'd see both of them here. So VP Malachewski, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Harper. Yeah, I appreciate the comments by our trustees. I think that traditionally this has been handled as trustees aren't university employees. There has to be a university employee that handles the administrative matters associated with contracting with an external party. And so traditionally that has fallen to me. My functional reporting role is to the Board of Trustees. I have an administrative functioning role to President Robinson. So I'll just share that for now.
And I agree. I have the same reporting line to the board and the administrative line to Dr. Robinson. So the reason for that is that it assists us in preserving our independence. But from the perspective of external investigations, Joe is right. We do assist with the administrative aspects of the investigation, but not the investigation itself.
You just muted yourself accidentally, it looks like. Go ahead.
And that was all I wanted to add.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Trustee Perry.
We have a few hands raised.
Yeah,
it's a follow-up to what I just said.
Yeah, and we'll
you
get to
can still accomplish the same thing. They can be involved in contracting, but they should not be involved in selecting the outside law firm. Yes, they need to look at the contracts to make sure that it meets regulation and pass muster. But and if there's any hesitation or reservation about this, then reach out to the Board of Governors and get their opinion. But I think we're in safe ground if they only do the ministerial things, such as making sure the contract is in compliance with state rules and regulations, but should not be involved in the selection of the firm, except to make sure that it follows the rules and regulations. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. May I suggest that we consult with the Board of Governors as to
Madam Chair, we have some hands raised before you go on, please.
Okay, I was addressing the friendly amendments.
Right, but we're diving into operational stuff, and we're a board. That's not what we're for.
So let me hear all the comments, and then I'll come back to address the friendly amendments. Go ahead, Trustee Clark.
All right, so my comments are, first of all, forgive me for the outside noise. in a remote location. We have an audit committee. I don't want to challenge Judge Perry's comments at all on the legal side because that's not my area. But if we're talking about a board and board governance, we have one employee. That one employee has acknowledged that he was the leader of this group. He was the leader. He owns this. So I think we need to put this to the committee, the audit committee, and the audit committee should be making the recommendations that you as the chair are making, because we're not supposed to be in the operations of the university. We are taking the work from the chair of the audit committee, which we put them in that position for a reason. We are distracting from the audit person, which is Mr. Malashevsky, and he's in that position for a reason. He reports to us. We all know that he reports to us, not necessarily the president. So I think at some point in time, we have to follow the process. The process is we agree that we want to have an investigation, have the audit committee take that on. The audit committee comes back, makes a recommendation to us and to you as the chair, and we give them direction from there. I think that would be the best. The audit committee may very well come back and say that staffers should not be a part of it. That's fine, but it should be the audit committee. If not, why do we have an audit committee? We are here today because processes have not been followed. At some point, we have to follow processes that are in place. And then at some point, we have to look at those processes and say, maybe some of those processes are outdated, but there's a process to address that as well. So my hand was up for a completely different reason. It was before you went on and made this motion. So I will leave my hand up for additional comments, but just on this comment of making a motion to whatever it was that you just rattled off, I think you're giving operational instructions, and we need to give this to the committee. Those are my comments.
Thank you for your comment, Trustee Klatt. Trustee Lawson, you're recognized.
Yeah, two things, if I could do both and save some time. I just want to make sure I understand the scope of the audit, because I think we want to understand how we got to where we are with the gift, and you know, the potential donors' background and financials, et cetera. And I also think we want to understand potential process breaks within the foundation's process. So will the audit get at both pieces of that, Chair Harper, or you know, one piece of that, and then there will be a separate discussion around foundation processes?
Yes, thank you for that question. The original motion did not include investigation of the donor. I would certainly accept that as a friendly amendment if that's something that you want to.
Well, when I say investigation, I want to be respectful of the potential donor. I only want to understand the financial wherewithal to make this size of a gift. I don't want to go any further than that, because I do want to be respectful of the potential donor. So that would be my friendly amendment. But also my question is, we do have some concerns about our own internal processes within the foundation. Will this audit get at those, or would that be a separate discussion?
One of the things that I consider, so as it relates to the financial wherewithal, I can add that to the motion. As it relates to the processes of the foundation, one of the things I considered was in the recommendation of corrective action to also suggest best practices in the context of the FAMU Foundation. Would that cover what you're?
Well, it will cover, Chair. It's just that I'm thinking about this audit. One, I don't want to make it too broad because I want the results quickly. Yep, so what I want to understand is, what were the processes followed on our campus? I'd love to understand a little bit more about the potential donor. 3, there clearly needs to be some work on processes within the foundation, and we may say, for expediency's sake, let's handle the first 2, and the third may be, you know, a follow-up, and I'm okay with that. And then as I look at this and I think this thing through, because all of the people around the table from an audit and compliance standpoint functionally report to the board, but administratively report to the president, I just want to be sure that we're able to operate in an untethered fashion. And I do concur that the audit should be, and I know we're kind of backward. I agree with Trustee Klatt on this point, because it should be coming from the audit committee, but I understand where we are, but I think the audit chair would probably agree. We need to do the audit, and I think the audit needs to be run directly through the board's audit chair with administrative oversight from university employees, i.e. contracts, procurement, et cetera. But I think we want to make sure that this audit is able to take place untethered, uncompromised, uninfluenced by any university employee. So that would be my friendly amendment to your motion.
Okay. So I will give me just a moment and I will read the revised motion. Okay. I move that the board hire an external firm to perform a complete investigation of the major gift since its inception to determine what happened, to perform a complete audit and analysis of the university's compliance with policies, processes, and financial controls, to, and this is where I need to revise, to understand the, you said financial wherewithal of the donor. You're muted.
We don't agree with the first sentence.
I'm sorry, was that true? Well, let me finish this. So you were correct, Chair Harper, in my statement, but I think there's objection to my statement from Trustee Klatt.
Okay, so I'm not going to include that, but what I've added is to produce a report that reflects best practices, as well as to recommend any correct. Let me start. I move that the board hire an external firm to perform a complete investigation of the major gift since its inception to determine what happened, to perform a complete audit analysis of the university's compliance and policies, processes, and financial controls, to recommend any corrective actions and process policy changes to the FAMU Foundation, and to produce a report that reflects best practices under the leadership of the Board of Trustees Audit Chair.
One correction, Chair Harper, there were three pieces, right? One was how the process evolved on our own campus. Number two is, let's say, for lack of a better term, the true resource pool of the potential donor, right, to a limited degree. And number three, which is foundational processes. And my question or my reco is maybe we separate the three. We go with the first two now, and you and Chair LeBou can decide potentially on an approach to look at the foundational best practices from the standpoint of dealing with major donors communication, how NDAs are processed, because, one of the questions that I'll have downstream is, did we ever push back or redline the NDA to give us more latitude in our discussions? But I'll save that for a few minutes later.
Okay, so I've removed the statement around any process changes for the foundation board. Thank you, Trustee Lawson. I do see Trustee Gibbons' hand and Trustee Washington as well. And Trustee Perry, to clarify, we'll go next.
Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay, Madam Chair, two quick things. Trustee Klatt, while I appreciate everything that you said, this is an unprecedented meeting. It's called special meeting for a reason. We don't know the depths or the magnitude of what happened in this situation. And so there could be possibly some criminal violations and other things that could be involved in this whole transaction. And so I do support the chair in terms of making sure that we have external folks. It should sit not with the committee. It should sit with the chair of the compliance and audit and allow him to work with Mr. Malachewski and any other staff to enter into an agreement to move the investigation forward so that we can get facts. We didn't receive those facts prior to this. We didn't get anything prior to this. And now everybody gets on here and we're all talking about processes and procedures. We don't even know what those are and how they exist. And so as any good businessman, you don't interject yourself, right, into an investigation. You take in the facts so that folks can be cleared or not cleared. We know specific violations that happen and other things. And now we're dumping in here where we're going to go and do all these things at the foundation and all that stuff. Yesterday or Monday, I think it was, the DSO committee has already voted to come and bring before the board, again, being transparent, including having integrity and accountability, where we will come forward and we will have a discussion about all DSOs and doing a deep dive into bylaws and other things. We've had that discussion. We are here today to do one thing, and that is to find out the facts related to this particular donation, what happened, when it happened. I'm sitting here with over 100 questions that are written here right now. Right now. We need to move on and get an independent person. You can go talk to the BOG, you can talk to anybody you want to, but here's what I'm going to share with you. I have gotten calls from alumni, I've gotten calls from a lot of FAMU faithful, folks who are donors and so many other things. This should not have happened. And in light of that, we need to get the facts, not play around with this, not do anything that makes everybody else feel good, because this is uncomfortable. I'm upset that I have to sit here and be doing this right now when all it took was normal due diligence. I had a journalist tell me that I don't know how these people worked on this for 6 months, and I got the information that I got in 2 days. So let's stop with all the friendly amendments and all this other stuff, and let's get down to the business at hand, which is provide some leadership as a trustee and as a fiduciary. And as far as the NDA, Madam Chair, the NDA does not preclude anybody on any campus. I've been a trustee for over 20 years in this community college system. I've also on another board. And Judge Perry is as capable of any expert in this country when you're talking about legal matters. And I will share with you that whoever signed any document, any NDA, is acting as an agent on behalf of this board, because the power and the fiduciary responsibility lies with us. And so, Madam Chair, I hear what we're saying about all these other things. That's fine, well and dandy, but we're sitting here because somebody did something wrong, unfortunately. And now we need to move forward and get an outside investigation. Put this in Mike White's hands as chair of audit and compliance. Let him negotiate whatever firm he did and process forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And with that, Trustee Washington, is your comment related to the motion that's on the floor? If not, I'd like to move us to a vote, please.
Yes, I would like to say, and I appreciate you trying to move this forward, but I think, perhaps we got a little bit ahead of ourselves in doing the motion, because what you're hearing, I think, is a bit of frustration from some of the board members who would like some additional clarification. What I did appreciate, I was able to listen on the foundation board meeting, and they actually were able to ask some questions, questions that may be our internal questions or questions that they had received from different constituencies who had reached out to them. So I appreciate, the expeditiousness of trying to move this forward, but what you're hearing is a sentiment of frustration from a number of us who are very disappointed at this happening, and what feels like an attempt to prevent us from being able to address some of those concerns. And so what I would ask is that we are respectful of, the fact that many of us have questions. We would all like to move forward to a conclusion, but, if there are questions, directly that we could ask of President Robinson or staff today, that we would be able to do that.
Absolutely. And that is absolutely the intent, is to be able to ask questions as well. So at this point, I'd like to call for the vote.
Unreadiness.
Okay, your unreadiness, sir.
My unreadiness is 1, if we're going to talk about going forth with an investigation and then you're going to interrogate possible witnesses now, you're going to compromise your investigation. That's all I'm going to say. If you want to go forward, you're going to ask for an independent investigation by an outside agency to gather the facts, but now we're going to do our own interrogation. This has nothing to do with the day-to-day operations of the university. We're asking an outside agency to come in and tell us what happened so we can formulate policy to deal with it. I also have heard that the foundation is conducting an investigation. You cannot have two investigations going on at the same time. You just can't. That's ludicrous.
Thank you for that, Trustee Perry. I'm sorry.
So that I'll finish my comments, but and that's it. But I just don't think we need to move forward with questions. But you satisfied my readiness by letting me speak my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Perry. I do want to clarify that during last week's FAMU Foundation meeting, the approved vote was to evaluate through a multidisciplinary, multi-committee to evaluate the bylaws, processes, procedures, et cetera. And so the foundation is not, to my knowledge, conducting any external investigation.
Again, the Board of Trustees is the ultimate authority.
Yes.
And they're going to be going over the same things that we're going to be going over. And the danger is commingling with two separate committees doing the same thing, but the board can vote to do whatever you want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And so what I also heard you say, Trustee Perry, and especially given your expertise within the law field, is that questions today by the trustees could compromise an independent investigation. Did we hear you correctly?
That's correct. You know, if we're going to serve as the fact-finding folks now, you might as well not have an investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that insight, I will certainly open it up for commentary, but would ask, depending on the outcome of this motion, we'll determine that at that time. Is there any further unreadiness before we call for the vote?
Yes.
Trustee Klatt, you're recognized, and Trustee Lawson.
So again, I think Judge Perry made some good comments, right? As far as the investigation that takes place, and then us allowing people to ask questions prior to the investigation. And then also understand the Vice Chair's comments, because quite a few of us have some comments in regards to what has happened. As a board, which I don't know how to navigate because of the system that we operate in, as a board, we need to decide what are the first two steps we want to take place right now. Because as the Vice Chair mentioned, he has some similar comments that I have. The president of the university, our only employee, has made a comment that he did not inform the board. He did not inform the foundation board chair prior to this happening. That's an admission right there. The chair of the Board of Trustees, you mentioned that you were there. They talked you into a photo op of taking it. We understand that. But as the board, you represented the board by sitting at the table and signing a document. And we have a problem with that as well. And we also go back to another photo op where the board chair was there to sign on with someone else that the board had not been consulted on. So those are the issues that we have right now, yet we're trying to vote on having an external audit. We already have the people that said they did not include the Board of Trustees. They did not include the foundation board. Yes, there are some processes that we want looked at from the foundation, The president of the university, our employee, has said he did not tell them. I understand we want to find out if that is a true fact. So we as a board, we need to find out what are the first two steps we're looking for to happen. So number one for me just happened, my public acknowledgement that I am not happy with the president of the university making that decision. I'm not happy with the president of the university asking the board chair to sit here in a photo op and do this. I'm not happy with the board chair for sitting there in a photo op and doing this, knowing or not knowing, because we are the governing body. We don't do things without asking questions. That's why we're here. The university did things without asking questions. So we can't apologize in 30 seconds and it's gone. So as a board, what are the two steps? And as the chair, you need to lead us to what does the board want the next two steps to be?
Thank you, Trustee Klatt. And what do you want the next two steps to be? And then we'll recognize Trustee White and Trustee Reed. I do want to recognize that it is also 3:57.
I think that as a board, we need to take a look at number one, our one employee who has made the comments. And I really relish the comments that the past NAA president Collins made as far as I support the university. I support the president on the academic side. We have some management issues from the president's office. My performance reviews over the past few years have noted that. As a board, we've been silent on some things. In our last board meeting, a motion was made to remove the $1 million authorization on the president. I voted against that. Here we are, a prime example of why we don't need those types of removals. So as a board, let's stop reacting and let's be the adults in the room and let's set some policies and some guidance going forward. Last comment, I heard very recently Tom Brady, a person who I'm not a fan of, made a comment. Somebody asked him about the Deflategate. Brady made a comment that the NFL spent $20 million to investigate Deflategate. When the commissioner of the university, all he had to do was ask him, commissioner of the NFL, all he had to do was ask, and he would have told him, yeah, I did it. So they wasted $20 million. So if we move forward with hiring a firm, we need to know what those costs are ahead of time. So what does the board want to do?
Thank you, Trustee Klatt. Trustee White, you're recognized, followed by Trustee Reed.
Thank you, President Robinson, Madam Chair. What I will say, is, and this is something that I'm a quote unquote baby on the board, and also as one of the youngest ones, I understand my position. But one of the things I've always had trouble with being on this board is that I feel like I know nothing that's going on. I'm the last one to hear what's going on. To be honest, it would have been great to celebrate in the opportunity to see our institution receive one of the largest gifts that any HBCU has ever received. I felt sick not even having that opportunity to celebrate in that opportunity. I feel like there is too many times that we get caught as the board with decisions that are made, and then we're having to take time out of our busy days. We're not paid for these positions. We're not paid for these roles. These are things that we do out of the kindness of our heart. And it takes a lot to stand up here and to be able to deal with these. These are definitely tough conversations that need to happen. The comment I will make is, as a leader and owner of a company, if one of my presidents decided to sign an NDA on something that happened to do with my company and then not tell me what that NDA was about or anything, I would have definitely been upset. And so to hear how everything has played out and the different things that have happened and transpired over this time it's a little upsetting. I would say the other thing I was very disappointed about is the fact that on Sunday, when questions did come out, the institution decided to double down and say we did our due diligence. To me, that was a lack of oversight. And it's like, why double down if we have not done that? And so as much as I do not want to lead this agreed upon procedures report, which it probably will end up being based upon AICPA rules. So as I do have to lead that, I do want to I want to make sure that I do connect with Joe, have a great relationship with him and Rika. There's going to be a need across the whole board, whatever we decide to do, investigation report, review, whatever you all want to call it. To me, we have to get down to the nuts and bolts of what is going on. Why is transparency seem to be lacking? Why is management feeling is that they do not have to tell us very key, insightful things? Like, this was a very big and key one. Our policies and procedures needed to be buttoned up. Like, those are the things that need to be identified, and we really need to get down to the nuts and bolts of it. I am a proud graduate of Florida A&M University, proud graduate of SBI. I put my money where my mouth is. I have donated quite a bit to this university, and I will continue to love and support this university. This university has been going on for 136 plus years, and it's my job and our role to make sure that we give those opportunities for another 136. So as we do this review, we need to understand what's going on so that we can move into the future and to see who all was responsible for this lapse of judgment. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee White. Trustee Reed, you're recognized.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Maybe just a couple of quick comments. I mean, I think we're all very passionate about this topic, and it's evident by, the number of participants we have on this call. One thing I think we're all trying to get to is fundamentally transparency. And I think the way that we get to this transparency is via an independent third-party review. I think that is necessary, but we can't have an exhaustive process where we don't get any information until it's complete. So we fundamentally need to break it down where we first get an assessment of what truly happened so that we get transparency to what occurred holistically. I think Trustee Gibbons made a very good point in terms of we have a portion of the information, we don't have all the information. And that's what a third-party investigation will allow you to be able to have. And I understand, Trustee Clapp, that you said the president has basically taken responsibility for this, which we understand, but we don't know what he's taking responsibility for until we have someone fully investigated and are able to basically come back to this body and the rest of the FAMU community with, here is all that has transpired and fundamentally what that looks like. And then I think as a board, once we get this information back, then we take that information and we make decisions around what are the next steps going forward. I think we can't take any action until we understand what that is from an independent third party. We've gotten a lot of information from many sources, but fundamentally, until we get it from a third party that's fundamentally going through the due diligence of running that process, we won't fully have an understanding of all aspects of what took place here so that we can then take the matter forward swiftly. And I think that's where we all need to get relatively swiftly and moving this forward. So the motion you made, Madam Chair, in terms of how we proceed with the friendly amendments that were made, I fully support that. I do not think we need to have any more discussion on the topic and let that external information be what provides us with the opportunity to then ask more questions and then go forward from there.
Thank you, Trustee Reed. I think you raise a very good point as it relates to milestones and regular updates and the need for a swift investigation. Trustee Stone, Trustee Crossman, and then we will vote unless someone calls for the question. You're recognized, Trustee Stone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, I'm a FAMU graduate, and hearing the news about the potential donation really excited me. But the fallout, my own personal diligence, everything I've read has been really disappointing. Even the calls that I've taken to really digest this matter have been quite hollow in evidence that you would need to even facilitate this process. And so, to be clear, even today, once this meeting started, right, this is new information that I didn't even have, right? The only thing I knew was the photo and who's in it and seeing some of the documents, who signed the documents, right? And so thinking about a motion and an external investigation, I get it. It makes sense. That's what we're ultimately going to need. but it feels like there's just base level information that could be helpful here to better understand the scope. I think the scope here is, and the implications could be much wider than passing a motion today with the information that we have, right? So I don't know if there's a milestone here where, we can have just whether it's an internal report or just somebody that, can summarize what is it that we exactly know? What is it that are the facts today? At any level, as a trustee of this university, that's important for me to know to determine what the next steps are going to be. So although I agree in the motion to have an external investigation, it feels like we need more information to even put the scope on that investigation to really move forward there. So that's just my 2 cents, but nonetheless, really disappointed in the information flow. We can talk about what happened, but how do we get the information to really work through this and have a heads up? I think all parties, quite frankly, could have done a much better job at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Crossman.
Yes, thank you, Chair Harper. I agree with the motion and what you and Vice Chair Gibbons are recommending. I just wanted to add to this as a subject matter. If anyone follows me on social media, what they will note is I promote FAMU a lot, and it's 100% positive. If I have a negative issue, negative comment about FAMU, I go to somebody that's responsible in that area and talk it out privately. My public comments are always positive, but that's just my choice, and I encourage others to consider that. How this relates to this subject, and Chair Harper, I was really feeling empathy when you were talking about your situation with the photo op. When the announcement came out, I of course didn't know anything about it, but when I saw it, because it came through the university, I trusted it to be 100% accurate. I then shared it to my social media. Because I did that, I've now gotten negative social media at me and questioning my integrity because I trusted what came out from the university. You're getting some negativity in this meeting because you trusted. You were standing there and you were asked, and because of the relationship, trusted. So there's a violation of trust. And so the question really comes is, how do we repair that trust? It makes me wonder, like, did President Robinson and others not tell us because they don't trust us? And now that we were violated, we need to, how do we now move forward and rebuild that trust? And so the investigation part is important. All of that matters. There's a lot that needs to come out there. My bigger question is that how do we, in the senior leadership roles, repair that trust? And so that needs to, in my opinion, go to some more proactive steps of transparency, like Trustee Stone just mentioned, and also some deeper questions of like, what's going on here that people were not included? When I thought about this situation, I don't understand why you wouldn't go back to this donor and say, hey, look, we're going to add 2 people to this, Lisa LeBou and Judge Perry. That is a simple thing. If that would have happened, none of this would have happened. So why would you not lean into the resources you have? And that is a deep question I think that has to get answered. And we're not going to answer it today, but I think, you trusted and it hurt you, Harper. I trusted and it hurt me. I'm still going to post lots of positive things. That's never going to change. But we need to get that vetted out through this process. Thank you.
Thank you. And it would have been nice for the chair of the Board of Trustees to be aware of the gift agreement as well. And that did not occur as it should have. I see 2 hands, and I know we do have a motion on the floor. Vice Chair Gibbons and then Trustee Lawson.
Madam Chair, I thought that Trustee Clapp, Stone, and Reed all made very good points, especially Trustee Clapp as it relates to what are the next 2 steps. I appreciate your motion. I guess what I would like to do is let's separate these things out, make a motion, and then talk about next steps to make a motion to have a third party outside investigation. I think one of the things that we've left out, I appreciate all discussion around transparency and integrity, but we're also leaving out of this discussion about accountability. And that's what this investigation is going to be about holding people accountable or individuals, or maybe not. Maybe they did do this right or did it as close to right as they could. This is about also accountability. and the third party should be independent, and it should do deep dives all the way down to whether or not all our, we keep talking about the university's rules, policies, and procedures. Great. What about if there were federal, state, and local laws that were violated? We won't know that. So we really do, to Trustee Clatt's point, really do need to outline this, turn it over to the chair of compliance and audit, so that when it comes back, whatever comes back, we can make some clear and decisive decisions or not about where this has gone or went. Let me just be clear about this. I graduated from SBI. I know Shante Friday Stroud. I don't ever believe in any way, shape, or form her intent was to be put in this situation, nor Larry Robinson. But now that we are here, I think Dr. Friday Stroud, who was my professor, would tell you, you have to follow processes and procedures now so that we can gain back that trust that Trustee Crossman talked about. And so, Madam Chair, I guess when I get to this point, I don't want to belabor this. We should make a motion. It should be on an outside third party to do a deep dive on all those things, from rules, policies, procedures that were followed, weren't followed. How did we get to this point? Who was the main person, not the main person? Document signing, all the way down to were there federal, state, and local laws violated, so that we know all the implications related to this particular transaction to protect what we keep talking about we love, which is our beloved FAMU. This has nothing to do with individuals. This has everything to do with protecting the integrity and the brand of Florida A&M University.
I couldn't agree with you more, and we'll share a revised motion that addresses some of the comments. Trustee Lawson, you're recognized.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try not to repeat what a lot of my colleagues have said, but I thought Trustee Reed did a great job of summarizing where we are in next steps. But the only thing that I would add is, with this motion that I support, Chair, between yourself and Chair White, I would ask for a detailed timeline of key events and activities so that we all stay apprised, because clearly what we're dealing with is a transparency issue. We're dealing with a collaboration issue or lack thereof. We're dealing with other departments that had to sign off on these things and validate them. I'd like to better understand that. And at the end of the day, it is going to become an accountability issue. We're going to need to make some decisions as a board on how we move forward. But to not be premature, we need these facts. So, Chair Harper, I'm supporting your motion, but asking for a timeline to be included.
Yes.
Hey, Chair Harper, just real quick to that. Chair, Trustee Lawson, I'm fine with that in the motion. The only thing that I would worry about is, why don't we let the person who is leading the investigation come back with that timeline in the motion? Because we don't know how long the person that is going to be doing the evaluation would have to almost give us what he or she thinks would be an appropriate time.
I would agree. I mean, there has to be conversation with the firm to agree on timelines. But I just, in the spirit of communication, I just want to make sure that that's a part of the motion, such that Chair White and Chair Harper will own getting us a timeline after those discussions with the third party.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
Trustee
So check this out for size.
Trustee Harper, if I may, Trustee Gibbons, were you making a separate motion, or were you looking to make a friendly amendment to the very long motion that is currently been revised?
I will let the chair decide. I'm happy to make the motion the way I did, and then we can have, after we up or down the motion, we can have further discussion about how we move that agenda forward, because I wholeheartedly agree with Trustee Clatt that there has to be a first step and then a second step, and then we move forward and wait for information. So whatever Chair Harper feels like is most appropriate, you can take mine or somebody else's motion.
Okay, because Chair Harper, if I may, it appears that there are now 3 friendly amendments to your initial motion. And I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what is being, it was motion, it wasn't seconded, there was discussion and unreadiness. So I'm just trying to find out the status of your
Her motion was seconded by me.
I'm getting ready to read the revised motion, which includes the friendly amendments that I have accepted.
Okay.
I moved
And
that
it
the-
was seconded, Madam General Counsel, it was seconded. I seconded the motion.
Okay,
yes.
thank you very much for that clarification, Trustee Gibbons.
Okay. I move that the Board of Trustees hire an external firm to perform a complete investigation of the major gift since its inception to determine what happened, compliance with applicable policies, processes, and financial controls, to recommend any corrective actions with a written report under the leadership of the Board of Trustees Audit Chair, with regular updates to the Board of Trustees based on the timeline established by the external firm. That revised
Second.
motion.
If it needs a second, I'll second.
A friendly amendment doesn't require a second, but I appreciate your support, Vice Chair Gibbons.
No, I think that you should just change the motion to that one, honestly.
Okay. General Counsel Wallace, should I rescind my original motion and make a new motion? Or can this motion that I just read be applicable and stand?
That's up to you if you want to rescind it and make a new motion, Chair.
Okay, I'll keep it as is. I do see Trustee May, and then we will vote.
Yes, I just want to say from a student perspective and on behalf of the student body that I do agree that we do need an independent investigation because this has shown a negative light on our university, which is a direct representation of the students.
Thank you, Trustee.
Question.
Okay, call for the question does end debate. So at this time, I will ask Attorney Barge Miles to conduct a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Ali? Trustee Ali?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes or no? You have to vote the motion up or down.
Can we still have sort of discussions, or we have to vote? Can I have a?
You have to vote.
Unfortunately, the question has been called, so you have to vote yay or nay at this time.
I'm gonna vote yes.
Trustee Klatt?
I vote yes for an independent audit. And I also want to make known that if the audit firm gives us regular updates, we have to remember that as soon as we hang up, people are going to say the chair was a part of this as far as the photo. So who are the updates going to with the board?
Trustee Crossman?
Yes.
Trustee Figurs?
Yes.
Can you come on camera, Trustee Figurs, so we can confirm that that's you? Trustee Gibbons?
Yes.
Trustee Harper?
4.
Trustee Lawson?
Yes.
Trustee May?
Bruv.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Trustee Perry?
Yes.
Trustee Reed? Trustee Stone?
Yes.
Trustee Washington?
Yes.
Trustee White?
Yes.
I can go back to Trustee Reed, because I
yes.
go back to Trustee Reed because he had lost his connection. Trustee Reed, if you could read the motion again so that Trustee Reed could hear it, Chair?
Yes. I move that the Board of Trustees hire an external firm to perform a complete investigation of the major gift since its inception to determine what happened, compliance with applicable policies, processes, and financial controls, and to recommend any corrective actions with a written report under the leadership of the Board of Trustees Audit Chair, with regular updates to the Board of Trustees based on the timeline established by external firm.
And we need your vote, Trustee Reed, yes or no? We can't hear you.
I support.
Chair Harper, the motion was approved unanimously.
Thank you so much, Attorney Barge Miles. Is there any additional discussion for this meeting? I see Trustee Lawson, Washington, and then Gibbons in that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ali. You also had we're going to start with you. Ali, Washington, Lawson, and Gibbons. Trustee Ali, you're recognized.
So with all the respect for the motion, this is a special board meeting. And we are here to just listen about what was going on the proposed gift. So I feel like most of the directions today was around shaping the motion, but not the discussion about the special meeting, that we actually have a special board meeting today about the proposed gift. So I was hoping to gain some more insight and have some discussions, and then maybe move the motions and any actions to the next board meeting. And our next board meeting is on the 29th in Tampa. So I was hoping to have not just a motion for 1 hour and shaping the motion from the Board of Trustees, but I was hoping for discussion related the main topic that we are really all here today, like the special board meeting regarding the proposed gift. So I feel this is big deal. If we get $270-something million gift, and we are in a new door for like dealing with big donors and big gifts. So my concern is from fundraising perspective, when we run investigations and taking actions, maybe some other big donors with the social media, with that public, Board of Trustees meeting, they might have a concern to give us some fund in the future. So I agree with John that we have to always in social media, like in public meetings, to just put some positive outcomes. We need facts, and I agree with that. We might don't know a lot of what's going on, but that's why we have that special board meeting today. So this is my discussion. I was willing to understand more about, or I came here for 1 hour to understand more about the proposed gift. That was actually the main topic for the meeting, but not a motion and shaping a motion for 1 hour and some minutes, So this is how I see it. Like we spend more than 1 hour just having a motion of collecting information, and transparency, bringing some more other firm to run and get some more insight information for us. I want to, as John mentioned, I want to trust first. So I want to see whoever handled the gift, what's their perspective about the gift, what's the information coming from the gift. And from my understanding, reading all the Board of Trustees policy and procedures, the board doesn't run the university. It's a government body to support the administration. So this is how I see it. So the Board of Trustees is, the BOT is just, it's very important role, but we need some information. That's why we came up all together for the special meeting today. And I did read the agenda that we're gonna gain some insight and information and data or facts about what was going on in the gift. That's actually my question for you, Madam Chair Harbour. Can I get some information after 1 hour, not shaping a motion or voting for a motion? We still have a lot of time to do that.
Yes, I do appreciate your comments, Trustee Ali. And what I will say is that the president serves, the board has a role of governance and fiduciary responsibility for the university. And so I wish this conversation could have been shorter, but it is important that we take the necessary steps around diligence and understanding where we are, why we got here, and taking the necessary steps to move forward. And as frustrating as it might be that it's been over almost an hour and a half to get to this point, what is necessary is that what the board has voted on is unanimously, is that an external third party is in the best position to gather all of the facts and to ask all of the questions. So I know that many trustees have been having a multitude of conversations, email exchanges with the administration, et cetera. And I would ask, and I certainly will defer to Trustee White, Chair of the Audit Committee, but I would ask that if there are any additional questions as it relates to this gift agreement, that they be shared with our board liaison to influence the scope of the investigation that has been approved. So thank you very much, Trustee Ali. Trustee Washington, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair Harper, and I hope this will be quick. I know we've had conversations about the current gift and that Dr. Friday Stroud is no longer the executive director. My hope is that, or my question to you is that maybe at the next board meeting, can we get an understanding of how in this interim phase between, last week and the time that the investigation is done and policies and procedures are enhanced, how we plan to deal with incoming gifts and the processes and procedures we will put in place in that interim? That would be helpful.
Yes. How will we receive gifts in the interim? Can you repeat the request so I make sure that it is captured? And I also want to say, Dr. Ali, I am committed during our board meetings. There will be updates on this as well, including the board meeting at the end of this month. The updates to which we can say, but I do want to let everyone know conversations with various people who I've consulted on this matter who have expertise. The answers will come out in the investigation. And so we cannot, that may preclude us from making comments until the investigation continues. Go ahead, Trustee Washington. Would you mind repeating the request?
Yes, the request is just in the interim, how will we the university be handling any incoming or currently pending donations?
Okay.
Or gifts, potential.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I will either add that to the agenda or ask that the administration share that information prior to our next full board meeting. Trustee Gibbons, is your hand up?
I thought Lawson was next. I'm sorry.
He put his hand down. I'm not sure. Trustee Lawson, did you have a comment?
I put my hand down. I was able to address my issue, Chair Harper.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have two quick things. I think to address Trustee Clapp's question, I think was an excellent question. During any investigation, whoever this third party is that we engage, that all questions be sent to that individual from trustees if they have questions, only to that individual who would act as probably, it sounds like it may be independent audit or law firm or something of that nature, so that we are not violating the sunshine. So whoever that individual is can contact us independently. That's number one. Number two, Madam Chair, and this is not a criticism. It is just to protect us again. I would ask for, I'm going to bring a motion forward that to direct by the board that we ask Dr. Robinson not to make any personnel changes during this time, as it would look suspicious, fishy, whatever, at the current time while we have an investigation going on to be moving deck chairs around. So I offer that as a motion that we please ask the president, our only employee, to not have any personnel moves during this particular time that the investigation is going on.
So let me address that and then ask for a second if there is one. I think your suggestion to send questions directly to the firm that is hired is a good one. So I rescind the suggestion that I made earlier to send it to the board liaison. So thank you for that. It's been moved to ask Dr. Robinson not to make any personnel changes during the investigation. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
It's been properly moved and seconded that Dr. Robinson not make any personnel changes during the investigation. I do have a clarifying question, Trustee Gibbons. Is that related to his direct reports? Because the president is responsible for the entirety of the operations of the university.
I would, it's a little difficult because we don't know, again, we don't have the facts related to the total brevity of this gift and what happened. So let's start with the direct reports and leave it at that.
Or maybe for clarity,
Can I-
anyone
can I
that
add
was involved in the gifting agreement.
Yes. I'll take
Can
that
I
as a
add
friendly amendment.
Can I add a proposed amendment as well? This is Platt.
You're recognized, Trustee Klatt.
Should we, from a legal standpoint, ask Trustee Perry and General Counsel what that answer should be, or to provide some comments on that, so that we're
Yes.
making sure that we're legal? And
Yes.
should there be a deadline on that? Should that be over the next 6 months, over the next year? I understand we said the investigation, but we need to drive the investigation to happen quickly. So if we put a deadline, I think that helps.
Yes, thank you, Trustee Klatt. I apologize for interrupting. I do want to seek the counsel of the General Counsel and anyone else who needs to weigh in, because the president does have specific authority, as noted in some of the regulations. So General Counsel Wallace, I see that you have unmuted. Go ahead, General Counsel Wallace.
Trustee Perry, were you saying something? He has his hand up. Okay, what I was saying.
All I was going to say is you can make a recommendation to the president. You cannot compel him, because we only have one employee. You can make a recommendation, and that's as far as we can go. And it is his decision to make that, whether he wants to follow that recommendation or not. But if we compel him, it is my understanding that is a SACS violation.
Madam Chair,
if I could, to save you the expense of a motion, a second, and discussion, I do accept that advice from the Board of Trustees with one question, and that is, as you know, we're in the early stages of discussions with AGB regarding an interim, right, for the Foundation Board of Directors, and I'd like the board's thoughts on that as well. Otherwise, I accept that recommendation wholeheartedly.
And may I ask, just for clarity, you're talking about direct reports and not the whole of the personnel responsibilities that reside with the president?
My clarified Trustee Gibbons' motion to say only those associated with the gift agreement, because it is a large institution with a lot of moving parts and pieces.
Agreed. Correct. I would agree to that.
My question is this a recommendation or directive? If it's a recommendation, in my opinion, based upon my experience, a recommendation that he can follow or not follow is fine. But when you directly tell him on personnel matters, that has a high likelihood of being a SACS violation.
You're correct, Trustee Perry.
Go ahead, General Counsel, please.
Trustee, you're correct. So I was thinking, based upon what Dr. Robinson said, he was taking it as a recommendation in which he would act upon.
I have grave concerns around.
Okay.
I have grave concerns around taking action as it relates to personnel beyond the president. There are a handful of direct reports to the president who on the org chart report to the president, but work on behalf of the board. And I don't want this board to violate any policies, procedures, or put anything for the university operations at risk.
So, Madam Chair,
I have grave concerns about personnel actions.
So, Madam Chair, I'll make it as a I will leave it as a motion.
Trustee Gibbons, you're recognized.
Sorry, I will leave it as a motion, but as a recommendation. So that is on the record and that the board is taking a clear vote on the recommendation.
Trustee Klatt, do you have a comment?
Yes. As a procedural matter, I asked for comments from the judge and general counsel, and we didn't let general counsel finish. So again, we're not following processes. So can we have general counsel, who's supposed to know the answer to this, give us commentary, please? Uninterrupted.
Under the board's regulations, the president is vested with the authority to hire, fire, remove all personnel actions. So, and there are some direct reports of his that directly report that also report to the board. As Judge Perry correctly pointed out, doing anything short of suggesting that he not make any personnel decisions, and he takes it under advisement, he can either agree to it or not agree to it, but having the board direct him to do so may be a violation of sex.
If I may, let's take the president let's take the president at his word. And for clarity, we're only asking or suggesting that he not make moves only for those individuals involved in the gift agreement, but other pieces of the institution that need to be run and managed, he clearly will continue in the capacity as usual.
So the motion on the floor is to recommend that Dr. Robinson
I don't think we need a motion, meaning that the president has agreed. We're saying only for those individuals involved in the gift agreement. We're going to take the president at his word on that issue because, you know, we will get all the other facts we need pending the investigation, because I think the concern with the motion is it butts up against some sex requirements, Trustee Gibbons, but I'll hear you out on that one.
I will rescind the motion as long as Dr. Robinson said he agreed to that, but also I would just caution him, because the foundation was involved in this and we're talking about putting folks at foundations and all that, that we be careful about doing anything related to the foundation. And so he's taken under advisement, so I will revise my motion and rescind it.
Thank you, Trustee Gibbons.
Thank you. I do want to clarify, what was the conclusion, Dr. Robinson, as it relates to the hiring of the executive director and vice president for university advancement?
I do accept this recommendation. However, I have some concerns about the longer term interim, right, who is not a permanent employee through the AGB, a person who could be used to even assist this body and the foundation board as they work through procedures and processes that can enhance operations there. Right now, as you know, the temporary solution, and I'm so pleased that he agreed to this, is that Dr. Donald Palm, my COO, would serve in that capacity until further notice. Okay.
Thank you. And that recommendation from the trustees who have spoken up only affects those who were involved in the gift agreement. So that would not impact any future hires. Okay. Is there any other discussion that needs to come before the board? Trustee Perry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, we've had a lot of discussion, but let me say this. While we look to find out what happened, we also must be thankful for those prior to this incident that brought us record numbers in giving. And I would like to personally thank Dr. Friday Stroud for all of her good years in the foundation. She gave record giving. And I don't want her to ever forget that. And I personally, and I hope this board thanks her, because nobody has raised the type of money that she has been. And for those of you who were not on the board, I'm not going to call her name. We lived through a nightmare. So I just want to thank her as we move forward for the outstanding job that she has done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Perry, and I concur. Thank you so much, Dr. Friday Stroud, for your leadership in leading us to record high philanthropy over the past few years. Trustee May, you're recognized.
So being that this incident has, hit the news a lot, how will the university mitigate any potential negative impacts on its financial stability and, more importantly, the reputation of the university?
Yes, how will the university mitigate? Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes, how will the university mitigate any potential negative impacts on not only the financial stability, but the reputation of the university?
Question for the president.
Could I take a shot at that, Madam Chair?
Absolutely.
So in light of an impending investigation, I will say very little about this incident itself. I think enough has been said. A lot more will come out when this investigation is done. I think it's our job, as you heard from Trustee Crossman, to continue to push out positive stories about FAMU. And there are tons of those out there. So we'll be working with you and your fellow students to get the word out that we're still in business. We are financially sound. By the way, this gift would have made a huge difference, but we were not dependent upon this gift for our operations. It would allow us to do some things that we had only imagined up at this point. So we'll get those messages out, and we need your collective help for everybody to understand that FAMU's financial status is strong. We just went through a financial statement audit with no findings, and that attests to it. It's not just my opinion, it's the opinion of professionals who are independent who played a role in that assessment as well. So we'll continue to push out positive messages. We can never put enough of those out there, but I will not, in light of this investigation, be commenting on this. I will say that even today, I believe it was $225,000 we received a gift from Shell Oil. So there are still people out there who have tremendous faith in you, the students of Florida A&M University, because that's why so many of them are making these investments. We have to get that word out, make that our primary collective duties in the days and weeks ahead.
Thank you. Trustee Gibbons, is your hand still raised? Or is that a leftover?
No, I would like to echo the sentiments of Judge Perry about the foundation. I think, up until this point, we have had record numbers, and they should be praised for that. It's unfortunate where we are, but we must start to move the brand, the university, and this board forward.
Thank you. And as I shared earlier, this has certainly been an unfortunate situation, but I'm always committed, and I know this board is also committed to using any information that we gather and even the unfortunate situations to make us better, to make us stronger. And FAMU has been here for 136 years. And dark clouds have come, and we will get through this dark cloud, and we will get to the other side. And I'm confident that we'll be stronger and we'll be better in the end. We are also working with a communications team that is sorting through various requests, which will be shared with the board. I don't see any additional hands. I would like to thank everyone for joining, for your commitment to this institution, to this board, and most importantly, to the students, so that FAMU can continue to operate in perpetuity. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon. This meeting is adjourned.
Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord Jesus. Somebody help me, y'all. Somebody help me, please. help me try to understand. I appreciate everybody for joining. I know I came in late earlier. I had you got off of work. So make sure that you like the stream, comment, share, most of all subscribe. We are simultaneously streaming on both Twitter and YouTube right now. Well, we got word earlier today, as far as before the meeting even started, that Dr. Shante Friday Stroud had put in her resignation as the foundation president. I guess that's what you want to call it. But is to the point, like, to me, it's just to the point, like, a lot of people are asking a question. The first question we need to ask, and we've been asking, and they've been asking, is Miss Kristen Harper. I don't know what her title is. I just know she's the head of the Board of Trustees for FAMU. Why was your name signed on the NDA as a witness? And then why were you in said photo op with Mr. Jerami? So that question needs to be answered. And if you saw, I mean, we all saw it. We all paid attention to it. Homegirl was dodging all those. She was dodging like she was playing a game of dodgeball. She was, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like she was dodging all those questions like she was on the Matrix. So, in a sense, I'm just asking why did you sign your name on that document? And then another thing come about saying that somebody had, I guess somebody signed her name for her. And I'm like, forgery is a big, like I said, forgery is a big thing, but I'm sorry. I cannot sit back and hear you say that that somebody else signed your name, ma'am. I'm sorry. I think this is your name. This is your signature on this document right here. I think it's somebody, Audrey. Looks like Audrey Smith, if I'm not mistaken, signed this as a witness. I don't know the other person who signed this as a witness. Basically, it looks like Chicken Scratch. Friday Stroud, she signed, and the president signed, and of course, Mr. I love freaking coloring. Gregory Jerami, he signed at the front, at the top. The only person that did not sign, the only thing that we see that didn't sign this is the representative of the Isaac Batterson Family 7 Trust. So my whole thing is, people keep saying, well, the trust is private, it's private, it's private, it's private. And I don't know. The only person that can ask you that question, that answer that question, is the Texas Controller, who is Sid Miller, who is appointed by Governor Greg Abbott. Well, not appointed, but he's actually voted in by the state of Texas. Not me, though. I ain't vote that MAGA in. But he's the only one that could actually tell you if it's, if it's legit or if it's a fraud. To me, I just think, all this smells like a farce, a fraud. So, given the fact that this was this is just all comical to me, man. And it's gonna come back, to me, it's gonna come back tenfold. All right. So give the rundown. Basically, Saturday, during 2 Saturdays ago, commencement came about. Mr. Jerami helped present the university with the $237 million gift to the foundation, and everything entails inside of the document. And I got this from Ms. Timona on She Loves D. So, and just let you know how this gift was broken up. All right, but that was said on Saturday. Everybody was happy. We all cheered because look, that's a lot of money right there. It helps them grow their endowment and also helps them try to help improve on their university status. But then on Sunday, we get some news, and it came through the article by Mr. Jarrell Blakely, inside higher ed. So he puts out the article where he kind of did his due diligence, and he started investigating. Because when you get a lot of money like that, people want to know, like, who is this person? How does he get his fortune? Of course, where is he from and stuff like that. So he did his due diligence, and he's found a lot of things that kind of raised a red flag. But at the same time, he wanted to give at least some grace to the university, and hopefully they did their due diligence in vetting this guy and what's going on. So, the article comes out. As soon as the article came out, the communications department for FAMU put it out there that they did their due diligence, and basically there was the stocks were in holder, and basically that's what you're gonna get. But then again, knowing folks who want to know what it mean, how this guy got his fortune, or even if it is a fortune, you start reading it that he did the same thing with Coastal Carolina University for a lesser amount, but it was close to $100 million. Coastal backed out. Then he cried that, well, they was racist. Also, they say he did that. This is at the University of Texas at Austin. And if you know about UT Austin, $237 million to them is basically chump change. They get donors, and they got big donors. They got oil money donors. They also had the permanent university fund that basically is a large security deposit between the three main public universities in the state of Texas. That would be UT Austin, Texas A&M at College Station, and Prairie View A&M University. So he tried that. They said no. They say he also tried it at other universities where it basically basically he tried to do it and it people are catching wind of it. Everybody looked into his company, Madison Farms Corporation. They figured that his company started in 2021 during the actual pandemic. So, everybody's doing their due diligence. People I know had called Mr. Jerami and he said, he's backing, he's not backing out of this, but he is doing a kind of like doing an about face. Then the foundation board had their meeting last week, and basically, Dr. Friday Stroud put everything out there on the table. And so they're wanting to know why the foundation didn't go and talk to other members of the actual board of trustees for the university and other board members on the foundation to make sure that this is a legit, very, a legit thing that they're doing. If the money is legit, be honest with you, my opinion, ain't no money. There's no money in this. What else you gotta what else you gotta figure out? There's no money in this. So everybody's saying it's a trust, it's a trust, it's a trust. I'm gonna be honest with you. There is no trust. There is no, I don't think there is a family trust. I don't see a family trust. And if you a trust, why would you get this guy to be your representative? It's mind blowing to me. After that, we get word today that Dr. Friday Stroud basically resigned as, like I said, as the executive director and president of the FAMU Foundation. She will, however, continue to be the chair of the business. Let me make sure that I get this correct. Oh. So let me see. But I know she's like the head of the business department for the school. So that's what I know. But on the real, Miss Harper is basically trying, she basically saying she's trying to protect herself. I think she's trying to protect the president of the school, of the university. But I'm sorry. Anybody who signed that NDA, there are 5 people that represents Florida A&M that signed that NDA. And to be honest with you, like I said, ain't no money in the bank, You've already paused, and let's go back to it. You already paused the donation. You took everything off social media, off your website about the record donation, because in a sense, y'all know it ain't nothing in that. Them shares are worth nothing. There's nothing about Mr. Jerome that says he's worth almost $1 billion or even a little bit over $1 billion. I don't see nothing that makes him look like that. That says he got money. Then I'm getting word on the street, man. My man's my guy. He said he called Carter, and Carter is the spot where you know have a business, put your stocks in, your shares and stuff like that for holding. Said basically his website is a disaster. His PayPal account is restricted by PayPal. Carter explained to me that a 409 valuation is required to issue stock, but no money backs the stock. So that tells you a lot right there. That tells you a lot. It tells you this man, he ain't no dope man front. He don't appear to be up front, it doesn't appear to be that he has money like that. So at the end of the day, y'all, on the real, FAMU got played. And they got played. They got played like a fiddle. Like seriously. That school got played like a fiddle. Um, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry to say this. People say Larry Robinson ain't going nowhere. He needs to be gone. He needs to be gone. Kristen Harper saying that she don't know who signed her name on the list as a witness. She got Stevie Wonder eyes. She trying to get her first part of dementia. I'm sorry, boo. I'm sorry, boo. It's time for you to go. Whoever the other two signed their name on that document, you needs to go. And for Mr. Jerome, I'm sorry to say this, you needs to be locked up. So everybody convince me with that trust and everything. Ain't nothing. I'm just saying it, just putting it out there, y'all. So that's all that needs to be said. I'm gonna just go ahead, excuse me, and end this right here in this live and in a little bit. But for I'm gonna just stay, folks. Today is May 15th, 2024. It has been 54 years since the tragedy at Jackson State, where it was Jackson State College, now it's Jackson State University, where it took the lives of two people, one high school junior and one college student. Mr. Gibbs and Mr. Green, your memory lives on. And we should not forget, we should never forget what happened on that day. I would advise folks to go, I forgot where is that on YouTube, but check out on YouTube and just type in Jackson State. Jackson State killings 1970. You should be able to get a video of that and watch it and, you know, go from there. That was a sad day in our history. We would never let that down, but we would never forget. That's the reason why our plaza is basically named after those two young men who lost their lives tragically by Jackson police and the Mississippi Department of Safety, of Public Safety. So I'm your boy Doc Holliday. Appreciate y'all for joining me this late. Make sure you like the stream, comment, share, and most of all, subscribe to the channel. Get everything HBCU Overdrive. We hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit up the donation. We are halfway through our donation for the Drive to 205 initiative. We are a little bit over $500. We are going to end the initiative on June 17th. So to go down to SWAC Media Day, I've got word from Mr. Roberts, Andrew, about what's going on. He shall hit me back up. And also, just if you missed anything from earlier, you can always watch the replays on YouTube, also on Twitter, and basically anything, comment, do everything that you need to do, share with folks. I'm your boy Doc Holliday again, voice of HBCU Sports and Culture. This has been HBCU Tonight, powered by HBCU Overdrive. Y'all be blessed. Y'all stay safe. Hug your loved ones, and y'all stay dangerous out there. We'll be back on this thing hopefully tomorrow. Peace.